Good morning. The Louisiana Committee on Parole is headquartered in Baton Rouge today, and on panel with me, to my left is Chuck Tillis, to my right is Danny Barra. I'm Jerry Ledoux. We're going to be hearing two offenders there at Rapides Parish Detention Center. We have staff here in support today here at headquarters. Yes, would the staff there at Rapides introduce yourself for the record?
Mr. Chapman.
Thank you. You able to hear us on that do the introduction?
Yes, ma'am. Now we hear you. Yes, ma'am. We can hear you now.
Okay, so could you introduce yourself, staff there at Revocation?
Sergeant Marsh and Sergeant Steiner.
Great, thank you so much. The time is now 8:49. We'll conduct this hearing. Sir, would you please state your name and your DOC number?
Name is GERALD White, Senior. DOC number is 317568.
Okay. Mr. White, do you have a piece of paper that you recognize for signature indicating that you're not under mental health treatment and you can read, write, and you're not eligible for appointed counsel?
Yes, ma'am. I had a paper.
Okay, so we'll go ahead. Did you retain counsel? I don't see any retained counsel, so you'll be speaking on your own behalf, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'm going to be reading some parole violation allegations lodged against you, and then I'm going to be asking you for a plea of guilty or not guilty or guilty with a statement. If you do have a statement, we're going to wait until we ask you some questions for you to answer that, okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So, Mr. White, you are a fifth felony offender currently before this panel for violating rule number 10, that you are $567 in arrears of your supervision fee. How do you beat that?
Guilty with a statement.
Okay. And you have special conditions as a sex offender. Section 4, Part 2 of the Sex Offender Compact says that you are not allowed to have contact including living in the residence with children under the age of 18 unless consent has been given by the court and or the parole board, and that included your own children. You violated that condition when you were found to have 2 juveniles inside your home on Shamrock Street in Pineville on August 1st, 2024. How do you plead to that?
I plead not guilty, Your Honor.
Okay. Your case has been assigned to Mr. Barra, and he's going to ask you some questions.
Yes, ma'am.
On that not guilty plea of the juvenile in the home, can you explain that? The documents say that the probation officer seen him in there.
Yes, sir. I had no knowledge this kid was in the home, Your Honor. When I went to sleep that night, wasn't anyone in my home. When I woke up that morning, the kids was in my home without my knowledge. My living girlfriend, there was her grandchildren. And she had let them in the house. I didn't know the kids was in the house at the time.
But you didn't know, go by his conditions that it was a problem, right?
Oh, yes, sir. I knew it was a problem. Then her daughter, there was her daughter kid and her grandkid, my girlfriend grandkid, and her daughter had to go to work that morning at 5:30, and I was asleep when I didn't know the kids was in the house. I was asleep, like I said, at 5:30 in the morning, sir, and I was asleep. I had no idea the kids was in the home.
Did your girlfriend know that it was a problem?
Yes, sir. She have a statement from her. She had a real statement from her, and yeah, and then the murder also knew it because she had came by once before the kids in the car, so I could not have kids in the home. So while I was asleep that morning, she had to go to work for me. Said she'd be there at 5. She went there at 5:30 and said she'd get off at 8:30. That was my old lady had told me, and I said it didn't make no difference. I said because you know I cannot have kids in the home. My own children cannot come in my home.
So she knew it. She brought him there anyway, is what you're telling us?
Yes, sir. And me and her had a conflict about that, which she no longer my girlfriend. Because I had opened the door for my parole officer one time that morning. Then she came back 10 minutes later, and then that was she seen the kids in the home, and I was trying to explain to her that I had no knowledge they was in the home. So she said, I give you one chance to say this. So she let me call the murderer 3 times, but the murderer was at work, and I couldn't get her on the phone. So she gave me a chance to try to call the mother, tell her to come get the kids, because like I said, I didn't know they was in my home at the time. That morning when I woke up, that's when I found them at the house. And I called the mother 3 times to come and get the kids. She worked at the Holiday Inn and she didn't answer the phone because she was at work.
And y'all were calling the mother after the kids were discovered in your home to come get them?
Yes, sir. She let me call. Yes, sir. We went outside and she said, I'll give you a chance to say yourself, Gerald. And she said, you go to class and everything. And she said, I'll give you a chance to say yourself. So I tried to call the mother 3 times. She went there, the mother answered the phone because she was at work. And then the grandmother was in the house, and she asked my parole officer, could she get the kids out of the house? Because she the one that them in, and she was responsible for them. She's the guardian of them. And she said she denied the grandmother to get the kids out of the home. And then I asked about how about I call Miss Gail to get the kids out of the home, and she denied me calling Miss Gail to get the kids out of the home. I said, well, what you want me to do? She said, you want the kids out of the home? I'm trying to call the mother. She's not answering the phone. The girl mother want to take them out of the home. You won't let her take them. You want them to call Miss Gail to take them. So, it was like a catch-22. You want them out the home, you give me a chance to get them out the home, and the grandmother that was willing to take them, I'm trying to call the mother, I can't get them, I'm trying to call somebody else to get them, and you won't let them take them out the home.
You ever thought about just you leaving?
No, so but she told me if now when come get them out the home, then I was under arrest.
And you got arrested right then and there, right?
Yes, sir. And I tried to call the mother, and I tried the grandmother even tried to take my home. I even asked about the grandma, even tried to call the landlord, and she denied both of them. I said, well, what you want me to do?
Have you had previous violations while you're on supervision? Have you gotten any other trouble while you're on supervision?
I had what they call it, curfew violation.
Okay. Any others?
Well, curfew, and they say about the same thing about the fine part, about the money part.
A curfew.
About my fees.
Any other violation?
Yeah, about my fees, and I had one take about there was a misconception with something about Facebook, but it wasn't my Facebook. It was my wife's Facebook page. And that was on the April the 25th, when I seen you guys on the 25th of April.
Any others?
That's it. The only violation I have.
You never got a reprimand or a sanction for not living at the registered address where you're supposed to be?
No, sir.
No.
No, not living at the. I always lived at but the last address I had was on Willow Glen. It was a boarding house, and that got cleared up because Mr. Roman Wade, he thought that I had moved, but I didn't move. That's how I got the curfew violation from not being in the home at the time. My wife had a stroke. I was over there seeing about her, but I was living on Willow Glen.
And this is the same wife with the Facebook, is the same woman that brought the kids to the house too?
Oh, no, sir. When I got locked up January 23rd, and she left, and she went on with some other guy.
Okay.
this friend here's the one that we used to date like way back in like 20 years ago.
All right. That's all the questions I had.
I would like to ask that Carly Landry, who is a probation officer, parole officer, is on Zoom. She's logging in now. We'll just pause, waiting for her to join us, and she is going to provide some clarity as well. You may.
Mr. White,
Sir?
after when this happened and the parole officer arrested you that day, have you had any more contact with the woman that you were living with?
Yes, I called her one time. I had talked to her one time.
So are you still together with her or what?
No, sir.
You've ended that relationship?
No, she turned, yes, sir. She turned her key into my landlord. She lives in Gina.
Okay. So you're saying this was really something you had no control of?
No, I had no control over the kids. No, sir. That I didn't. I didn't even know they was in my home that morning.
I got you. Okay. I have no questions.
Thank you for joining, Ms. Landry. I don't know if you've been listening to the offender's testimony, but would you like to speak about this case?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead and address the panel there.
On the morning of the incident in which Mr. White had violated his parole, I had made contact with him outside of his front door. And in order to access his front door, he had to walk through the area where the two children were actually located inside of the home. He made contact with me outside of his front door and diverted me to another parolee's complex. They live in a duplex together, and diverted me towards that parolee's house. So I quickly, departed, made contact with somebody else. And when I returned to Mr. White's residence, without leaving the property in its entirety, his home, and immediately upon walking through the front door, that's when the two juveniles. So with the prior contact of him walking outside of the residence, he was aware that the two children were there, as he had to walk through that room to access.
Okay. Do you have any idea how long the children, did you interview how long they were actually at the home?
He said that the children were dropped off that morning by his girlfriend's daughter, I believe, and that he had to watch the kids until the woman was able to get off of work and pick the children up. And he even knew information as the children were supposed to be picked up around 8 o'clock that morning. However, the contact that I had made with him was shortly after 8 o'clock in the morning, and the children had still not been picked up. He had said that the children do frequently go to the home because they need to be fed, and he just felt like he needed to help the children. So he was trying to do the best he could to help them, and had done it on numerous bases.
Thank you. Do you have anything else you want to add to the conversation?
No, ma'am. Other than Mr. White had been compliant with certain other things. This is his second in front of the parole board during this course of supervision for violating his parole. It just seems as though through the course of his supervision, although that the violations have been different, that he just can't seem to get it down altogether for some reason.
So how many times has the paperwork come to the parole board during this period?
During this period of supervision, this would be his second revocation hearing.
Okay.
Did he have violations before for not living at the registered address and moving from that spot without permission or something like that?
Yes, sir. The previous revocation hearing consisted of him not residing at his listed address, and having access to social media and not abiding by a curfew that the previous parole officer had ordered.
Thank you.
And he was not revoked at that time. He was continued on. Okay.
Correct.
Mr. Tillett has a question.
You say he told you that he was keeping the kids to take care of them until the mother came and get them? He told you that?
Correct. He did say that morning that he was there to watch the kids, him and his girlfriend, until the mother of the children was able to return home from work, which should have been at approximately 8 o'clock that morning. But this incident occurred between 8 and 8:30 that morning, and the children were still present.
Thank you. No questions.
Thank you, Ms. Landry, for joining us on this in this hearing. We appreciate your input. Okay, Mr. White, different story we're hearing from your parole officer.
Yes, ma'am, because the story she telling them, ma'am, this didn't happen like that. When she came knocked on my door that morning, it was around close to 8:30. And when I passed through the living room, I didn't even, my living room, the way it's made, this front door, then the couch is that way. And I didn't see the kids at first on the couch. When I went out and talked to her the first time, she left and went to talk to her other parolee. It's a duplex. And when I went back in the house, I went and woke my girlfriend up. I say, why is the kids sitting on the couch? She say, Mookie dropped the kids off this morning. She said about 5:30, and she'd be to work at 8:30. That's what I told Mr. Landry. I didn't tell her I was watching the kids. I didn't even know the kids was in my home. If I would have seen the kids on the couch that morning, know they wasn't supposed to be there, I would have never opened the door for Mr. Landry. I didn't go to bed till 2:30 that morning. I work at, I do landscaping stuff. I work for a realtor. And she seen all of Miss Landry could tell you I had the caramel lotion all over me. I got Parson Oak. And so I took a Benadryl and took my Triston 100 milligram, which is my mental med. And when she knocked on the door that morning, I was still driving. I just walked straight to the living room, opened the door. I looked out the window, nothing. If I realized it was her, if the kid was in the house, I went and opened the door.
Okay. I think we've heard all this information. I want to ask you, you said that with fees, you were guilty with the statement. Could you provide your statement on that?
Yes, with the fee. Yes, ma'am. I didn't know. I got out in October. Well, I got arrested January 23rd, and I didn't get out to June the 18th of this year. And I've been out like a month and a half. And then the money that I did make, I had to pay for the rent and stuff, for the rent, my lights, water, gas, get all that cut on. I didn't know that while I was in jail, that my fees kept going up, kept running. I just thought it just stopped. That's why it says so far behind. But they say about me not being violated for the month from January to June while I was in jail, that my fees kept going, kept continuing.
Okay, so as a fifth felony offender, that's something that you should know is how the feed system works. Does the panel have any other questions?
I have no.
Barbara, are you prepared to that?
Yeah. Mr. White, I heard a different story, partially from your parole officer than I did from you. And considering that you're a fifth felony offender and you've already had a reprimand and a chance already for violations, you leave me with no choice to revoke your probation at this time, parole at this time. My vote is to revoke based on the new violations of juveniles in the house.
Mr. Tillett.
My vote also is to revoke.
I concur with my colleagues today. Mr. White, your probation parole has been revoked.
Oh, get that good to see that we're not the only ones that's having a problem with that we've been, maybe something we can. They need to swap in one of this next door. Since they're on the same shift, that punch goes up. So, like you can, and all that stupid shit every minute. They like to actually be. Yeah.
I mean, not to be no butt about it, but when he told me that he came to the house and walked by the couch and you ain't paid.
Okay, good morning. We are still at Red Needs Correction Facility, and we are now going to hear the next offender. Sir, would you, for the Louisiana Committee on Parole, on my left is Mr. Tillis, to my right is Mr. Barra. My name is Ms. Ledoux, and we're going to conduct this hearing by asking questions. And first of all, would you state your
My name is Marvin Chapman. My DLC number is 417-849.
Okay. Mr. Chapman, do you have that piece of paper that you're holding? Does that show you do not qualify for appointed counsel? You can read and write, understand the allegation against you.
Yes, ma'am.
Did you request a retained counsel? Do you have an attorney?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So you're before this panel today as a fourth felony offender, and you have been charged with the rule violations for your parole. I'm going to read those violations to you, and then I'm going to ask you to enter a plea of either guilty, not guilty, or guilty with a statement. If it's guilty with a statement, we'll ask for the statement at the appropriate time. Okay?
Yes, ma'am.
First of all, rule number 2, you failed to report to the office for the months of June and July. How do you plead?
Guilty with a statement.
Number 3, you addresses without permission, whereabouts were unknown. How do you plead?
Guilty with a statement.
Number 10, you have failed to make even one payment for provision fees are currently in the order of $695. How do you?
Guilty with a statement.
And as a sex offender, you have special conditions, and were mandated to attend monthly sex offender treatment. You failed to attend those in the months of July and August, and your whereabouts were unknown. How do you?
Guilty with a statement.
All right. Well, Mr. Barra is going to visit with you about those statements.
All right, Mr. Chapman, let's start with number 2, that you did not report for the months of June and July. What's the statement regarding that?
At that time, you know, I had witnessed going through a relapse on drugs, number one, and I had got an eviction notice, but I never got the opportunity to get in touch. Well, I never got in touch with my PO to let him know that I had got an eviction notice. So in the process of that going on, I had went check myself into a 28-day rehab program at Red River Treatment Center. And 7 days into the program, I got them to contact probation and parole to let them know who I was to see if I had a warrant for my arrest. And I did actually have a warrant at that time, so they came and arrested me from the rehab center. But in the process of me losing my house, I was going back to my original address, which was Boyce when I got out of rehab, the address I paroled out to when I first came home. But I never got a job the whole time I was at home because I was trying to apply for my Social Security, my SSI. So they wouldn't allow me to work, you know, with trying to get that done. So I didn't have the funds to, I paid my utility, but I couldn't pay all the rent. So they ended up issuing me an eviction notice. But that was a big part of me not going to report for the month of July and August. I had started back getting high, to be honest with you, and I didn't want to embarrass myself or you know, embarrass my parole officer with that. So I tried to give me some help in the process of that, and ended up they had already issued a warrant for my arrest.
So basically what I'm getting out of that is the reason you didn't report for June and July is because you was on drugs and didn't want to see the parole officer.
Yes, sir.
And then you turn yourself into treatment when?
I turned myself into treatment in July.
July, all right. All right.
They came and arrested me July 11th. I was already I had been in treatment 7 days. It was a 28-day program, but I never got the opportunity to finish it because they came and arrested me while I was in there.
All right. So on condition number 3, it says that you moved your address without permission. That's because you were evicted?
Yeah, I had got evicted, yes, sir, I had got evicted.
And that happened all while you was in treatment and while you during the same month of June and July?
That caused me to, that's when I went and turned myself into treatment in July, yes, sir.
I guess I talked too much right there. What you were, go ahead and
Sir?
tell me what your statement would have been. I talked over you.
Yes, sir. Well,
right.
Yes, sir. Yeah, yes, sir. But that's basically what happened. Yes, sir. When I got the eviction notice and I knew that I was spiraling down the wrong road again, I just went on ahead and turned myself into rehab to try to give me some help because I didn't want to keep doing the same thing that I had been doing. You know, getting in those situations and going on the run from my probation and parole officers and getting like that was going to end up losing my life doing that. I don't want to go through that no more. So I try to go give me some help. I never been to rehab. It was my first time going, and I actually, for the first time, they taught me was starting to teach me about what sobriety was. I never understood that the means of sobriety. I had just started getting it for the first time in my life.
All right. Tell me about number 10. You failed to pay a single payment on your fees and were $695. That means the whole time you was on supervision, you never made a payment, and you were working at one point.
Well, I was working part-time with my dad, but that money there, I was using that money to pay my sex offender class. My treatment classes were like $150 a month. And I couldn't pay, I didn't have them funds to pay both of them and try to keep a spot to live in, sir.
All right. And condition number 13 that says that you shall attend sex offender treatment monthly as required, and that you didn't attend sex offender treatment for the months of July and August. You did obviously go in June, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so tell us about that. Why you didn't go in July and then August?
Like I said before, sir, I had started back getting high, and I know that, you know, when I go visit the parole officers, usually at the class, and I was in fear of, you know, being piss test or didn't want him really to see me in the condition I was with me had started doing methamphetamine and mojo. I didn't like the way I was looking, and Mr. Ray had been good to me, so I didn't want to embarrass myself or make him look bad. So I just want to turn myself into treatment.
All right. So what have you learned? What have you learned this round from these violations and ending up where you're at? What have you learned that you would do different if you could do it all over again?
If I could do it all over again, I would go straight in and face Mr. Ray head on and let him know what's going on with me at the point in my life of me relapsing. I pray to God that I never witnessed that again, but that's what I would have done different. I would have just went in instead of trying to avoid him caring about, you know, my well-being or how I was looking or how he would feel about me. I would go into him and ask for his help now instead of trying to do it on my own.
That's the right answer. Have you had violations before on this term of supervision?
No, sir. Not to my knowledge, no, sir.
You would know. Have you ever had a reprimand, a violation report, anything like that, where for failing to report, for failing to do sex offender class, anything like that?
No, sir.
Okay. So would you say that you agree with that? The problem you got right here today is all based on you getting back on drugs while you're on supervision, and it caused you to not go to class, not see your probation officer, and lose your house and everything else, huh?
Yes, sir.
All right.
Okay.
That's all the questions I had.
Let's revisit that last question that he asked you. September of 2023 is when you were ordered to go to treatment. And you had already admitted to Mr. Ray that you were taking drugs. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am. I never was ordered to go to treatment, though. I would have went.
Sex offender treatment is what you were.
Oh, I was already going to those classes, ma'am, at that time. He have asked me, was I dirty before, and I had told him I had admitted to being dirty all the time.
We're just sex offender. Okay. Just a little bit to educate you, the word is a urine test, not a piss test, okay? You need to, okay, Gary.
I apologize, ma'am.
Mr. Tillis, do you have any questions? Well, after your explanation, I find you're guilty of your violations. Now, we need to decide what we need to do. Mr. Barrard, prepared to vote?
I'm going to go ahead and give you a break today and order you to complete Steve Hall treatment for sex offender. For substance abuse before you release. So you'll be lined up to go to Steve Hall substance abuse treatment before you get out. You won't have the stress of having to find yourself there, and you're going to go there. When you complete that treatment successfully, then release back to another chance.
Yes, sir. But do I have a question? Do you know how long it would take Steve Hall to come get me?
I do not know how long it would take to get you.
Yes, sir.
My vote is to get treatment at DLC.
Now, Mr. Chapman,
Yes,
if you
ma'am.
go, if you go to the DOC substance abuse program and you act up or you fail and refuse to participate, you're just going to be revoked.
Yes, ma'am.
You have this one opportunity. You understand? My vote is also to grant you to a DOC substance abuse program and that you follow all the conditions that they put on you upon release.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So today, in lieu of revocation, we're going to send you to that program. Okay.
Yes, ma'am. Thank y'all.
Refuge, the time is now 9:25 and we're signing off. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hello?
Mr. Moore, you understand what she's saying?
Yes, that I'm waiting to go to
It's
Steve
probably,
Hall.
one-
I didn't want
Good morning. The Louisiana Committee on Parole is headquartered in Baton Rouge. And today on the panel, to my left is Chuck Tillis, to my right is Danny Barra. We are going to be hearing offenders at the Orleans Parish Prison. We have a support staff today here, but we need to know who's the support staff on that end. It's 9:35 when we're tuning in there. Do you have anybody in the room with you?
Yeah.
Are there any staff members in the room with you?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so let the record reflect the offenders alone. Would you please state your name and your DOC number, sir?
James Daniels, 579399.
Say that again, one more time.
James Daniels, 579399.
99. Okay. Mr. Daniels, you're before this panel because you are alleged of violating your parole conditions. I want to find out, do you have a piece of paper, were you given a piece of paper that you signed that you are not eligible for appointed counsel?
Yes, ma'am. There's a parole revocation questionnaire paper.
Right. So it says that you can read and write and you're speaking on your own behalf.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And you did not hire an attorney. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to read out the alleged violations, and I'm going to ask you to enter a plea of guilty, not guilty, or guilty with a statement. If you have a statement, you can hold that until I request that. So you violated condition number 4. On May 16, 2024, you engaged in criminal activity when you committed the crime of domestic abuse battery, child endangerment, and domestic abuse aggravated assault, which led to your arrest by the New Orleans Police Department. How do you plead on that?
Not guilty.
And violation number 10, you failed to make any payments toward your supervision fees, and you were $693 in arrears as of May.
Not guilty with a statement.
Okay. Mr. Daniels, I'm going to ask you a few questions, and then my colleagues may have some questions for you. But before we do that, I noticed that Brittany Daniels, your wife, is in attendance at the hearing and would like to speak in your support. So we'll go ahead and let her do that at this time. You're on mute, I believe.
Yes, ma'am. I'm just here supporting my husband. When it did happen, some things I did lie about. He was trying to leave the house when we got like in a little argument, but I didn't want him to leave. So I did call the police and I lied about him doing the things that he did.
Okay, so let me ask you something, Brittany. Did you go to the hospital that day?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you have a broken arm?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so what part of your statement did you lie?
What happened was I called them first, and from there, that's when it got a little hectic by me lying on him. That triggered him.
Okay, so if he didn't do anything to you, why did you shoot him?
I don't know, ma'am. I don't know. He came in through the window, so I just shot him.
Well, thank you for your statements.
I got a question.
If Mr. Barra wants to ask a question.
Yeah, do you have any fear of him?
No, sir.
So you would not be worried to have him back around you again?
No, sir.
Okay.
Mr. Tillman?
Yes.
Okay. Back to Mr. Daniels. Mr. Daniels, I want you to note for the record that both you and your wife went to the hospital. She had severe injury and you had a gunshot wound. The charges were refused. However, the court initiated a protective order.
Yes, ma'am.
Why would they do that if you're not a threat to your wife?
It was just saying it was gone by the rules or something like that. Like that's something that everybody gets when they catch a domestic or something like that, just to protect the victim.
All right.
So it was just like a normal procedure.
Okay, so what is your statement? So you say you're not guilty because they found you not guilty in court. Is that why you're saying you're not guilty of that, of causing those injuries?
That's right.
That's based on the fact that they dropped charges. Okay, what is your statement for number 10?
See, by me doing a lot of time in my previous years, I normally like just come home and just get whatever job I go on and get. But I ended up doing 8 years and from 2010 to 2018, and I had got trained like auto mechanics and carpentry. So when I had came home this time, I was really trying to put myself in a more career-oriented position. But I had filled out the multiple jobs and then phoned my career officer at the time. I saw the pictures and I had stuff like on Indeed where the job would say, we are very impressed with your resume, but at this time we would like to choose another candidate for the job. I guess that was concerning my previous charges or something like that.
Okay, let me ask you a question. You were released. Did you have a previous violation during this period of supervision?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and that was for what?
PEAVY.
For what?
PEAVY, a marijuana charge.
So it was just marijuana, so that's why you got sanctioned, jail sanction.
Yes, ma'am.
So were you ever charged with those for that crime?
No, ma'am, they had to drive me down to the possession because it was just a cigar.
Okay, so you've already been sanctioned for. Okay, Mr. Daniels, Mr. Tillis, Rod, do y'all have any questions?
Yeah, I'd like to go back to number 4. How did your wife's arm get broke?
Oh, she went over the pig.
What happened? Say again?
Here, can you sit up? Because we can't see your mouth and it's hard to understand. Go ahead.
She got her arm and I pushed her over the pig.
You pushed her on the table and she broke her arm?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Barrett, any questions?
Why were you going through the window at your own house?
Because she had my phone and my money, and I was in a dangerous neighborhood, and she wanted me to walk. And I was like, I'm not going to walk without my phone and my money. I don't know if y'all know about one of the keys, guys.
Would you sit back from the speaker, please?
You need to sit up and sit back. Don't lean
Can't
over.
understand what you're saying.
Don't lean over. Don't lean towards the computer. Sit back.
I'm not to y'all hear me. I guess I don't know what's on the speaker. Y'all hear me now?
Not good.
Back
Not
up a
good.
little more.
Can't understand what you're saying.
Yeah, that's why I'm closer.
I think it's echoing.
If you will sit up and sit back, push your chair back,
You hear me?
that's much better. Keep going.
Okay. I went to the window because I had my phone or my money. I was clever, y'all.
If there's leader this.
Try pushing your chair further back. The further back you get, the better you sound. Further back.
What about now?
Keep going back.
Keep going back.
Would you tell them that we need a better acoustics? And that's-
Look, knock on the door and get one of them guards in there.
In them.
It needs to be pushed away from the- We are having a difficult time understanding the offender when he speaks because of the acoustic. Could you push his chair back and have him sit up so that we can understand better? Push him all the way back so we can understand better. Okay. Thank you. Now, why did you go through the window of your house? Ma'am, you can stay in the room, please.
Because I had my arm on my money.
What?
I said I was trying to get my arm and my money.
Yeah, can you get his light back on? Ask her.
Brittany,
I kept his phone and his money and stuff, so he was trying to come back in and get his stuff. He didn't want to take and leave without having his phone or his money or anything.
And you had locked him out, and that's why he had to come through the window?
Yes. Cause yeah.
you locked him out.
How did you get your arm broke? How did your arm become broken?
Because he pushed me.
Pushed you pretty hard. You guys were kind of tussling,
Yeah.
and you still want him home?
Yes, I do.
Well, Mr. Daniels, based on all the information that we've heard today, I think the panel is prepared to vote. I'm going to vote first. It is not, we do not have to find you not guilty based on the fact that the court did, because your wife recanted her story. We have evidence that there was physical abuse. And so my decision today is to revoke your parole based on you being guilty of number 4, that you harmed your wife while on parole. Mr. Tillis
I concur.
and Mr. Balrog.
I concur.
So today, your parole has been revoked.
What does that mean, it been revoked?
I ain't coming home.
What?
Hmm. I thought the camera was on. Hmm. With the camera on? Yeah. You want to go in another room? See. Oh. Uh, Maria, shit. How about y'all all laying in the bed? Can y'all get up and look professional? Like I didn't even know the thing was wrong.
What am I to do? Huh?
Okay, let's see what time it is. 10:24. Good morning. The time is now 10:24. The Committee on Parole is headquartered in Baton Rouge. On the panel today, serving on my left is Chuck Tillis, to my right is Danny Barbara. And we have some offenders that we need to see there at Rayburn Correctional Facility. We need to get the names of the staff in support at Rayburn.
Keith Bickham, Deputy Warden.
Kristen Herbert, Records.
Tracy Taylor, Classification.
Great, thank you, staff. Our first offender, would you please state your name and your DOC number for the record?
Joseph ROUSSELL, 386163.
Okay, Mr. ROUSSELL. We have some information to read into the record. Sir, I find you're a second-class offender. You're currently serving a 40-year sentence for habitual manslaughter. You had a parole eligibility date, 12/17/2021, a just a good time date of 8/19/2039, and a full term date of 7/14/2040. Does that sound correct according to your understanding?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
This is a rehear. You were heard previously by another panel. Today at Rayburn, you have a significant number of people who are there in your support. And I'm going to read the names. Only one person, your mother, is going to be speaking on your behalf. That's Tammy Longley, Lorenzo Longley, Leroy Longley, Corey Benson, Denisha Jackson, Karen Benson, Michelle Benson, and Greelyn Benson are also there in support. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And we do have their relationship to you. We will also hear from victims after we hear from your supporters. So could you, Warden Bickham, do you have information on this offender that you would like to present to the panel?
Yes, ma'am. Joseph's been with us now for 13 years. He serves as a mentor in our program where we deal with the younger inmates as they come in, trying to keep them from making the same mistake they make after they got into prison. He's been 5 years without a write-up.
Okay, thank you very much. We would like to hear from Tammy Longley, your mother. If you would stand, if you're capable of standing, I don't know, I can't see. And then just speak loudly and clearly.
My name is Tammy Longley. I'm Joseph's mother, and I'm come to speak on the behalf of him. For his remorse, I know Joseph have remorse because when the crime occurred, Joseph came to me and he cried like a baby. And I told him to go see your children, and tomorrow we're gonna go and turn yourself in. So as he started his time, he went to Cottonport, he played ball for them, he brought them to the championship twice. They had a banquet in his honor. Then he went on, he got his GED, he got several certificates, and now he's a mentor for the younger inmates. And he done joined church, he done really changed, and God forgave him. And if y'all give him a chance, I'm sure he won't let y'all down. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We do have some people in opposition, but before we go to the opposition, I would like Mr. ROUSSELL to give you an opportunity to tell us why you're here and why should we be looking at parole today?
Well, I come a long way for one, and you know, it was a long journey for me. You know, I had to find myself first before I was able to, you know, understand things that's going on around me. You know, so you know, I'm really, like I said, I sympathize with the family and, and it just hurt me. It pains me still to the day to see them go through this and the pain that they occur. But I'm not the man that I come to jail. I was lost. I was a lost kid, man. And I come a long way, boy. And the man I represent today is not the same guy that 24 years ago when I committed this crime. I didn't rehabilitate myself. I'm a youth facilitator over a class called Let's Move, where we help the young inmates identify with themselves and go through situations that may occur in prison, as well as teaching them morals and principles, things that I had to learn. Like I said, I go from yard to yard, I mentor these guys, I talk to these guys, and I completed programs like Tyrone that taught me and helped me identify with things that, like past hurts and things that I'm not familiar with and comfortable with, and showed me ways to release outlets, in a positive way. And I just want to just give it a chance. I just want to show everybody that I could be a productive citizen. I could be a better person. I'm not the person that I was when I first come in jail. I was lost. I was lost, boy. I'm honest, I was lost. And I can say right now, the man I am today, man, I'm a man of integrity. I got dignity, I got my morals, my principles. I have a direction in life. I have a vision, and if given a chance, I wanted to live out and show everybody that I could be, who the dollars just saying I can't be, A lot of people see my change, but I want to get a chance to show who I am, and show the things that I accomplished and the things that I'm doing in prison.
Thank you so much, Mr. Roussel, for that. And I'm glad of your self-awareness and your progress. We're gonna, So now we're gonna go to the victim's family. We have the victim's mother, Miss Anna Lee, here, and Angel Lee, the victim's sister, and they both want to speak. So Miss Anna, if you'll go ahead, keep your comments to about 3 minutes, and make sure you're unmuted. You can go ahead when you're ready.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Anna Lee, and I am here on behalf of the victim's family. I am actually his mother-in-law.
Okay.
And I stand here because he has 16 grandkids that he never got to see, and children that are in grief daily. And even though it's been a long time, the pain still resonates. I've cried this morning, and there are days when I can't get beyond the pain. And so is it with his sons and daughters. I understand that Mr. Russo says he's been rehabilitated, and forgiveness is real. I forgave him before I came to his initial trial, but the damage remains. His children could not be raised with their dad because not only did he take his life, he took his life in front of them while they were sitting in the car with him. If he had not stood in front of Mr. Russo, they might have been killed as well. And then he ran off and took the car. I mean, he did some horrific things, and I understand we've all made mistakes, but my heart is overwhelmed with the fact that this man right here is no longer here, never got to see his grandchildren, couldn't see his children grow up. And I ask that you would allow him to really understand what he's done. And it sounds like he's done better since the last time, because the last time he was before us, he didn't have this good report. Nobody could speak up for him, and his family didn't speak up for him. But I ask that you look at him, look into his situation, and think about it and revoke this probation.
Thank you very much for your comments and for being with us. So, Ms. Angeli, are you the sister-in-law?
Yes, I am.
So you can speak to the panel now at this time.
Thank you and good morning. While he has done some things, he gets to mentor the young people. I commend you for those things. I really do.
Speak to,
But
speak
at the end of the day,
to, ma'am,
can
you'll
you
need
hear me? Can you hear
your
me?
comments need to be directed to the panel and not to the offender. Okay, so you can speak to that. Thank you.
All right.
Mhm.
At the end of the day, he gets to mentor those people. The people that my brother-in-law mentored. Can you hear me?
Speak up just a little louder.
Okay. Hang on, let me take my earpiece out. That may be, hold on. Okay, is that better?
Yes.
Is that better?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'm at work, so it's only so much that I can do. I just want to say, like, I commend the accomplishments that were made. But my brother-in-law will never get the chance to mentor anyone, including his children, his grandchildren. My niece refuses to get married because her dad can't walk her down the aisle. That is something, if one of his family members, chooses to do, he'll get to be able to be there. This reliving this over again, the pain that it brings up, it's horrific.
We appreciate you
angst
and having those comments to make. And that's difficult. Mr. Tillis has been assigned to take lead on questioning this morning. So, Mr. Tillis, we'll let you go ahead and ask questions at this time.
Good morning, Mr. Russell. Am I pronouncing that right?
ROUSSELL.
ROUSSELL. Yeah.
Yes.
I read your case. I went through it several times, and just as someone said, reliving this is probably difficult. But what happened? What happened when it says that you and a friend were tussling over a gun, and then you took the gun and killed Mr. Wilson? Why were you and your friend tussling about the gun?
We were tussling over the gun because I pulled the gun out and I was trying to fire a warning shot. You know what I'm saying? Really just to back them up because they was coming aggressively towards me. So me and him got in a tussle over the gun, and he eventually let the gun go, and that's when everything took place.
Yeah, so what I have here is that you and Will were tussling over the gun, and Mr. Paul came over to stop you guys with the gun, and you at point blank shot him twice. Why did you shoot him? You felt
Listen, yes, sir. I did shoot it. But the altercation didn't happen like that. It was Willie is a friend of mine. Man, him was tussling over the gun. When Paul pulls up, me and Paul ensued in an argument, you know what I mean? Pertaining to a woman. And we passed word back and forth, and the shot was fired, and I shot a shot that killed him. That's what actually happened. I shot the shot that killed him. We got into an argument behind the woman, Kiana Mills.
I see. You know, I looked at your record. You've done a lot of good things. The warden speaks highly of it, and you've been without some write-ups, but you had a lot of write-ups before the last 5 years, and you've accomplished a lot of certificates trying to better yourself, and I commend you for that. I have no more questions.
Mr. Barbara?
What kind of gun did you have?
I had on Mag 9, sir. Assault rifle, Mag 9.
And how many shots ended up being fired that day?
It was 2, precisely 3. I think it was 2, though.
And did I understand you right when you said you and your buddy were arguing over a gun, and then Mr. Paul showed up and it ended up getting turned on him too because you had arguing with him also?
No, Mr. Paul, the gun was pulled prior to Mr. Paul pulling up. As he pulled up, we had an argument, and the argument ensued. That's when the gun was pulled, and me and my friend got into the tussle over the gun. It wasn't, I got into it with Paul, and I pulled a gun and just shot him point blank. No, when Paul Wilson pulls up in the car, an argument ensued behind a woman that I was currently dating and he was involved with. So the argument ensued and the gun was pulled. When the gun was pulled in the heat of the moment, me and my friend tussled over the gun. And when we tussled over the gun, I eventually gained control of the gun. Now he let it go whatever way it went, and that's when the shot was fired.
So you and your friend were not tussling over the gun
Prior to
no,
sir.
him, victim getting.
No,
When
sir. I
you
was in a,
put out the gun, your friend tried to get the gun from you at that point?
See, me and her had got into an argument prior to that, and I told her I was leaving. So I was putting all my belongings into my car to pull off along with the gun. That's when Paul Wilson pulled up, you know, and it was later stated, but not proven that she called him because we had this argument. And that's what me and him ensued in the argument. And the argument took place. And that's when the gun was pulled. We was not tussling with the gun prior to them pulling up. The gun was nowhere in fact at that time.
And why did you feel you needed to shoot him?
No, we got in the heat. It was a heated argument. It was a heated argument. He displayed, not saying he had it, because it never was proven. He displayed with his hand behind his back, like he ran back to the car where his son was in the car. You know what I mean? His son contested to his daddy removed the gun from behind the radio of the car, which was never investigated by the police. And I'm not going to say he had a gun. He just made a gesture like he had one. That's when that's when I fired the shots.
All right, that clears it up a little bit. That's the only question I have.
Mr. Roussel, I do have a question. I hear the warden and about the certificates and everything. You had your first hearing in 2021. Is that correct?
Ma'am, yes, ma'am.
Okay. Since 2021, how many classes have you been involved with since your last hearing?
My last hearing, I completed like 5. One is Tyro, where they teach you principles and morals, like I said, help you identify with things like trauma that you done went through and give you an outlet on it. I also completed a religious class called Freedom. You know what I'm saying? Where it helped you get in touch with God and develop a better relationship with God, you know, and I also finished AWOL. That's victim anonymous, you know, where you can identify the hurt and the pain of the victims and things like that.
You say you took the victim awareness?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Completed it.
And I understand that. I see in my file, and the institution can correct me, that was taken in 2018. Did he take that?
No, ma'am. I just took that class. I just currently finished that class.
But sometimes it takes a bit for that to become part of your record. That's why I'm asking.
I got it right here. Maybe it was like 6 months ago. I
December.
think I completed that class. Yeah, it's like 6 months.
Oh, okay. I see that 12:3. I see that he. Okay. Hey, Val. Okay. I don't have any other questions. I don't think. I know that programming was an issue, and you said you've taken 5, and I see Tyros and Aval.
And Tyro, Aval, Freedom, I have the certificates, Freedom, and I just currently finished Moral Compass.
You just finished Moral Compass?
Compass, yes, ma'am.
Okay. All right. I don't have any other questions.
I got another question. What is that you're saying for classes that he's saying? You said Taro?
Yes, sir.
Taros?
Yes, sir. Tyro.
Not Kairos?
No, Tyro, T-Y-R-O.
Okay,
It's the same
Good.
thing.
Same thing?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Kairos and Taro?
Yes, sir. K-A-I-R-O-S.
Kairos, yeah.
Yes.
That's what, and that's a class y'all give?
Yes. That's a religious class they go through.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, I've been affiliated with Kairos and the way it was pronounced it, I understand. Okay. I'm through with question.
Okay,
Yeah.
All right.
Tyro.
We also have Tyros, T-Y-R-O-S.
Okay.
if there's nothing else on that side, is the panel prepared to vote?
I would like to say something else. Could I say something else?
I'm sorry, I don't.
I'm Joseph's mother. Could I say something else?
The mother-in-law?
No, I'm his mother.
Yes, I don't, yes, that's fine, yeah.
I would like to add that, I've been going to the Arrive. It's a program that helps the inmates when they get out, and they're gonna help Joseph. They're gonna give him housing for 30 days to get rehabilitated.
Okay,
Right.
that information, we already have a lot of information about his,
Yeah, all right, thank you.
yes. Mr. Tillits, if you're prepared to vote.
Yes, my vote today is to deny. I can appreciate the change you've made and the classes that you're taking, trying to better yourself. I feel that you need a little bit more time served. So my vote today is to deny.
Mr. Barra?
I concur with Mr. Tillis for the same reason.
Mr. Roussel, my vote is to deny. You needed a unanimous decision today. So your request for parole has been denied.
Thank y'all.
Hey, it's now 10:56 and we're reconvening at Rayburn Correctional Center. We are going to be hearing our next offender. Sir, if you'll state your name and your DOC number for the record.
Roy Slater, 118591.
Mr. Slater, this is the Louisiana Committee on Parole. To my left is Mr. Tillis. To my right is Mr. Barrow. My name is Jerry Ledoux. And we are going to read some information into the record, after which we will talk to you and to the warden, and then we will also hear from your supporters and also opposition. I find you're a third-class offender, sir. You're serving a 59-year, 9-month, 15-day sentence for habitual armed robbery. You backed up and had some revocation time left. You have a parole eligibility date, 8/1/2021. You had a hearing previously. This is a rehearing. Your adjusted good time date is April 17th, 2052, and the full term date of 9/21/2057. Is that information correct according to your understanding?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. Mr. Slater, I want to go ahead and give you a chance to speak first. Would you tell us why you're here and why we should be looking at you for parole today?
I would like another chance at society. I know I messed up. I was wrong. And I just, like another shot.
Okay, you messed up and you were wrong. What did you mess up and what were you wrong?
Well, I was wrong for letting robbing. I was out there robbing, doing crime, doing wrong.
You were had a gun and you were committing robberies.
That's
Warden, do you have something to say about Mr. Slater?
Yes, ma'am. I interviewed Troy 2 days ago before we come up for this hearing. I interviewed all of them. Troy has been with us a long time. He's been 21 years with one write-up, and it was a negligent write-up. It was a piece of wire in a hobby shop box. He has trouble communicating. Sometimes he gets hung up on his words. I know he's got a list over here that I'm looking at, but he's a mentor in our Let's Move program. When he's not at work as a trustee, he's working in our hospice program. Practically every supervisor I've passed on the way down here has been behind him on that. Troy made trustee in 2018, but there was a time calculation. He was on our road crew. There was a time calculation issue and he couldn't go on the road. He's been working in our administrative building up front and around the warden's offices and records and such as that since that time. I know he's been with us a long time and he's been a model inmate for everybody here.
Thank you. We have Matthew Pineda from the Louisiana Parole Project who would like to speak on your behalf. Matt.
Thank you, ma'am. Good morning. The Louisiana Parole Project has accepted Mr. Slater as a client for our reentry program where he will be provided housing and he will go through a rigorous, intensive reentry program his first 4 weeks if he is granted parole. We do understand that there's no guarantee that Troy will be paroled today, but if he is released, our organization stands ready to provide the services that he needs to make a very productive and positive reentry and transition back into society. We do state that Mr. Slater has served a long time. He is up in age now, and he is very trusted because he has maintained a good disciplinary record since 1997. And we feel like he'll be a good fit in our program, and we would like to ask the board to consider granting him this parole today, and we appreciate your time and consideration. Thank you.
We also have Ms. Davis, a friend, who would like to speak.
Good morning.
Hello.
Uh-oh. Hi, good morning. I'm trying to get back to the screen, ma'am. Uh-oh. Oh, what did I do?
You're fine. We see you and hear you.
Okay, all right. Good morning. Good morning. Hi, I'm Ariane Davis. I'm here in support of Mr. Slater, return back into society. He's welcome here anytime. I have 2 businesses that I run, Prosper Beauty Bar and Nail Salon, and also Skanowski's Trucking, where he will have employment upon returning to society and help with whatever he needs.
Mr. Meyer, before we go to you, I would like to ask some clarification. I see that Mr. Slater in his disciplinary report has 5 write-ups. The last one was 2019. How am I getting that incorrect? I have Troy Slater, 118591.
His last write-up, October of 19.
Okay, so in 20
was December of 2003 was the one before that. He's had 1 write-up in 21 years.
So what was the one write-up in 2019? What it was a
little piece of wire in a hobby shop box, like they were wiring some stuff in a wooden homemade motorcycle.
Okay, thank you very much for clarifying that. I didn't understand that could be a number 1, a rule 1. So
it was a low cord, but it was wrote up as a contraband, but it was given a low court sentence.
Okay. Thank you very much for that. Mr. Myers, would you like to speak on behalf of the district attorney?
Yes, ma'am. Randall Meyer, Assistant DA, Jefferson Parish, and we're opposed to Mr. Slater based on his criminal history and the number of armed robberies he's committed. He pled guilty here to 5 counts of armed robbery. He was on good time at the time of that offense for an armed robbery conviction. And his sentence was 50 years without benefit of parole. He's, I believe he's parole eligible under the Old Timers Act now. He's had a couple of prior hearings for parole. He was denied in 2016. And after that, he did no programming. And that's something that concerns me. You know, if you have a hearing and you're denied, it seems like you would want to take additional programs to try to better yourself and do what do things to help rehabilitate yourself. So after his denial in 2016, he did nothing. 2022, he had another hearing in which he was denied. And one of the reasons for denial was that he needs additional programming. And he's taken some programming since then, but only Moral Compass, Tyro Leadership, and Malachi Dads. And the record shows that he's on the backlog for Thinking for a Change. He's only served about half of his time on the 5 counts of armed robbery. So for those reasons, we're opposed at this time, and we feel he needs additional rehabilitative programs before he should be released back to society.
Mr. Slater, how long have you been incarcerated on this particular
27 years, man.
How many?
27 years.
7 years. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
And you're 59 years old?
Yes, ma'am.
You know, when we first started this interview, you talked about, the mistakes you made and stuff like that. Putting a gun to someone's head is a life-changing event for that victim. Have you taken victim awareness?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Why don't you talk to me about what you learned through that course?
What I learned about victim aware, I learned that I made them a victim, I made their family a victim, made my family, I made myself a victim. I didn't know that. I just was out there, doing crazy stuff. But I learned. I would never do that again.
Why were you doing crazy stuff? What was going on in your life that made you do crazy stuff?
Well, really, behind with me being with my so-called friends, going out there hustling, wanted this, wanted that, instead of me going to get a job, what I was supposed to do, get a job and, get it like that.
Right. Just because none of your victims were found or we don't have victim opposition doesn't mean that these victims haven't had, severe impact. How do you feel about that?
I'm really sorry about that. I wish I was to lay there and tell them I'm sorry, and I regret what I did 100%. I couldn't believe after I sat there and thought about what I did, I know I was wrong, and I take full responsibility, and I'm sorry, and I want to let them know that I'm sorry.
I'd like to go into an executive session if the panel is second.
I second.
Dana Barra?
Yes.
Jerry Ledoux? Yes. Joe Kennedy?
Yes.
We have some confidential information we need to discuss. We'll be back. Okay, we're reconvening at 11:11. This case was assigned to me to vote first. And Mr. Slater, one thing that the warden said, which made a lot of sense to me, is that you don't communicate sometimes exactly what you're thinking or what's going on. So I'm having to pull things together. I believe that you need to complete Thinking for Change. Thinking for a Change is a very impactful course. I believe that you need to have an opportunity to prove yourself in the transitional work program. So my vote would be to grant to a transitional work program after taking Thinking for a Change. Mr. Tillett?
My vote is to deny. I think you need to get some more classes and some more training, and I don't think you've served enough time, and the opposition of the law enforcement has changed my vote.
And Mr. Barra?
I'm going to concur with Mr. Tillis on the same reasons, the deny for the same reason.
So today, based on a 2-1 vote, you have been denied parole, sir. 18 and the Parole Committee has now reconvened. We have before us Mr. How would you say that last name, please?
Manton,
Mantu?
Manton.
Manton. Thank you. Sir, would you introduce yourself and give us your DOC number?
I'm Nicholas Manton. My DOC is 509452.
This is the Louisiana Committee on Parole. On my left is Mr. Tillis. To my right is Mr. Barra. My name is Jerry Ledoux. We are going to read some information into the record. We're going to ask you some questions, the warden, and then allow your family to speak. I find that you're a 4th felony offender, that you're currently serving a 9-year sentence on this current charge. I believe you had some time left over from the previous conviction. You had a parole eligibility date 2/22/24, a good time date of 10/13/2028, and a full term date of 5/5/2029. Does that sound correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You were revoked from a distribution charge, and then discharged with a possession with a firearm by a convicted felon.
I was revoked on the gun charge.
Oh, revoked on the gun charge for the drug charge. Excuse me, I got my date up right there. Well, Mr. Manton, you're before this panel. Why don't you tell us why and why should we consider you for parole?
I had the gun. My son was in the military. He was in the Army, and he got killed. And I was at the house. I was holding his rifle. I was devastated and still am about the loss of him. I was mourning, and the gun was belonging to him, and I was holding it, trying to feel close to him. And when I did what they said I did, I had it done, and so that's why I revoked myself immediately. And I've learned my lesson about, I wasn't thinking about being a felon. I was just thinking about my son and how I was feeling. And but when I get out of here, I'm gonna go for grief counseling and do, you know, positive things out there. And I'm gonna go see a psychiatrist. I'm gonna go and I'm fixing join a church with the rest of my family, and I'll be able to, be able to go talk to the preacher and, seek advice from him too. And I know it was a mistake I made by holding the gun, and I was not thinking, but I have had a while to think about it now. I'm not gonna have any kind of gun, not even so much as a BB gun around me anymore.
Warden, do you have something you'd like to say about this offender?
For the board, he's got no write-ups since he's been with us. He came to us in January of 2024. And he's had a duty status. He's been in some classes. I mean, y'all have copies of those, I'm sure.
I was just flipping over there to see this one. Okay, at this time then, would your mother like to speak?
Yes, I would.
You can just loudly and state your name and your relationship.
Alma, A-L-M-A, Manton, M-A-N-T-O-N, and I'm his mother. And I'd just like to say that, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. That's what I wanted you to do.
I'd just like to say, I know he made a mistake, but 2020 was when they, COVID hit. I was a teacher and I had to work through COVID, so I understand how
stressful that was. But he couldn't go get, and it's not an excuse, but he couldn't go get grief counseling. He couldn't go and do a lot of that he was normally would do, and it was stressful for anybody, but doubly so when you lose someone like that. He lost his son. I lost a grandchild. I lost my daughter and my husband all within a few years, and it's been really tough for the family. And I didn't get grief counseling either because of working and doing COVID, and I should have spent more time, I think, focusing on him too with when he lost, because I know what he was going through. But I understand that I need grief counseling as well with all the losses we've had in our family recently. And I think he's going to do better. I think he's going to do, I can take him to his meetings and I can go too. I think it'll be beneficial for the whole family.
And your brother would like to speak, sir, you can go ahead and state your name.
Nathan Manton. You know, like I said, I want him out to go stay with my mom. She's getting older, to where if she has some falls or something else, because she already hurt her hand, he can kind of be there. They'd be there for each other, whether she needs help or he needs help, because she needs it. I take a lot, and like my brother said, we're going to church. My whole family's going to church together now to try to build a better relationship with Christ and as a family. That's really what I want for him and for my mom, so they can all get help together and help each other out.
Good point. So your first conviction was for drugs, and then you went to Steve Boyle program.
Yes, ma'am.
How did that help?
And I haven't, it helped me a lot. I haven't failed any drug screen since 2014. And Stephen Hall program helped me, give me some tools and let me know, taught me that it is a disease and it doesn't take one time to slip up and be right back in the same situation I was in with the drugs. And I was able to get a sponsor, and I got a sponsor at home too. So it helped me to make better decisions, and it was a beneficial program to me.
Could you answer questions by Mr. Chillis?
Morning. How are you doing today?
Nervous.
Don't be nervous. You said your son, when did your son pass away?
2021.
2021?
Yes, sir.
And this gun waving deal that occurred, were you on drugs or using drugs then?
No, sir.
You weren't using drugs?
No, sir.
When's the last time you dealt with drugs?
Other than prescribed medication, and it's been since 2014, which I've been locked up since then.
Since 2014, you've not used any drugs? Illegal. Just kind of tell me what happened that day. I mean, you said earlier you weren't feeling well, and I guess maybe you were grieving your son.
Yes, sir. He was in the military. He was in the Army, and he went in there right out of high school, and he did 4 years, and he just re-enlisted. He was going to make a career out of it, but he was killed, and he didn't get a chance to even really live life. But I was very proud of him, for choosing to go to the military and make a career out of it.
You know, I was really close with him. You know, I talked to him 2 or 3 times a day, every day, even while I was incarcerated. And, before, he was killed, and I was out in 2021, and, we got to spend a little bit of time together, and I really can cherish those times that I had with him, and that's what I try to focus on now is, you know, remembering the good things and the things that he's done, you know, with me. And
I see.
I try to reflect back on that.
I see. You just said you were incarcerated and he would visit you?
Yes, he come and visit me, but, his mom and his sister lives in Texas, but whenever I got out in, 2021, he would come and visit me. We got to spend a little bit of time together, a couple months, but it was like he would go to base and he would come home for, you know, the weekends or 3, 4 days if he could. And then he'd go back to the base but I would still call him, you know, every day, and he was my world. I do miss him.
I understand. I have no more questions.
Mr. Bob Rock.
I don't have any questions, but I'll move for anything.
We have a request for executive session.
I second.
Ms. Beck. Gerald. Yes. Stockton.
Yes.
Danny Bauer.
Yes.
The time is 11:37 and the panel is reconvened. Mr. Manton, we're going to vote at this time. Mr. Tillis is going to vote first.
My vote is to deny, based on, fourth class felony. And, I think you need to do some more classes that may help you.
Mr. Balrog.
I'll vote to grant your parole with some special conditions to obtain that mental health treatment and follow all recommendations and remain free of firearms for the rest of the period of time.
And my vote is to deny. Warden, if it's possible for him to get into thinking for a change, I think that that would be helpful and perhaps a mental health evaluation to address the process.
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am, we'll get him in.
Mr. Manton, I don't want you to be discouraged because I don't think that this is necessarily a detriment. I know it feels terrible to you right now, but I think there's some things that could happen there that will help you even be better prepared when you hit the road. Warden, you hear my heart on that and see what we can do about that, okay?
Ma'am.
So you've been denied at this time, sir. Thank you.
We'll get you that. How long before I can go?
Hi, this is the Louisiana Committee on Parole. It's 11:48 and we're reconvening at Rayburn. Sir, on the panel today is Chuck Chillis to my left, Danny Barra to my right. I'm Jerry Ledoux. I'm going to read some information from the file and then we're going to have a little discussion. Sir, I find that you're a first felony offender, that you're currently serving an 8-year sentence for possession with the intent to distribute meth. It's a revocation from a previous probation, maybe? No. You're on a split sentence. So you had a parole eligibility date of January 14th, 2025, good time date of 11/2/2025, and a full-time date of 1/15/2031. Does that sound correct to you? I'm sorry. Does sound correct. Okay. Warden, would you be able to provide some information about this offender?
Mr. Peavy came to us in December. And he has no right of. I mean, he hadn't been here long enough. He's got a duty status. I see where he's been in some classes, but y'all do have that.
Well, Mr. Peavy, why are you here and why should we consider releasing you on parole today?
Well, I'm not sure how to answer that. I want well, I'd like to get back out and get help my son. We had a little business going, carpet work, remodeling and stuff like that. And when I get out, I plan on getting my driver's license, insurance for my truck and navigator, and be mobile so I can help them on the job. You know, and the grandkids work with us too. And that gives them a little incentive, a little money, and helps keep them out of trouble, and keeps me busy. You know, about 4 years ago, my wife died, and it kind of, I fell out with God and life and the world in general, I guess. I just got to where I didn't care about nothing. So, but I've since made my peace with him and found out how stupid that was. But I thought he'd taken her too soon. We were together for 38 years. Well, 42 years, married for 38 years. I was pretty well lost without her. And, I guess I learned to deal with it.
Okay. Board, I may not have an updated. Have you completed pre-release?
And just so he's enrolled in pre-release.
Yes, I'm missing class. I'm supposed to have that class today, this morning, but
He's currently in pre-release.
Okay. This case is Mr. Barra. Mr. Barra?
Ms. Ledoux, I'm sorry. Our record says here that he's been granted this CTRP for pre-release. That means he's completed it.
He has completed. Okay, so why don't you go ahead and read off what he's had, because I may not have an updated. Tell me what he's had.
He's completed cage your age. He's completed free release. And I think there was one more. He finished eval. Okay. He's in pre-release victims awareness. He's completed free release, cage your age, and he's in victims awareness.
Mr. Barra?
What have you done since you've been in jail to address your drug problem?
When I realized I was, like I said, I was mad at the world and that misery loves company. So the friends that I started associating with, they was into the drug scene. I kind of got mixed in with that. But, I don't feel like I want to get back into that anymore. That's some of the past. And I like to wash my hands of that. I didn't really enjoy it. It was just something to do.
Where do you plan on living if we would release you?
In my home, I have my own home.
Got a job lined up?
Drug disability insurance, disability, but I plan on helping my son. I have all the corporate tools and everything. Plan on helping him. We do little remodeling jobs, you know. I'm the gopher for it. Additions, decks, driveways, whatever somebody needs, the friends and family.
All right, that's all the questions I have.
Mr. Tiller?
I have no questions.
So, Mr. Peavy, if you were given the opportunity to have some substance abuse treatment, do you think that would be helpful?
I'm willing to try anything. Anything that'll help me, I'm willing to take it. Yes, ma'am.
Well, because I noticed your drug issues go back to 77. You've had a few marijuana charges, some drinking charges, and I mean, living in Grant Parish, it's probably part of your culture. Everybody pops the top on the weekend, so.
You're right. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I just was curious about that.
I'm not living in Grant Parish anymore. I'm in Rapides Parish now.
That's probably worse. Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Barra, I think we're prepared to vote, Mr. Barra.
Well, Mr. Peavy, I think the problem is drugs. I think that's your whole problem. So I'm going to vote to grant your release on the condition that you complete the Steve Hall program prior to it. That's an intensive drug treatment program. And that once you complete the program, then you can be released.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Tiller.
As to deny with law enforcement, the sheriff and the DA have strong opposition. And I think you probably really need to get some more drug treatment programs before you move on.
And Mr. Peavy, my vote is to grant to a DOC long-term substance abuse program. I think there they can address moral recognition. But today your request for parole has been denied. The time is now 11:57, and we are signing off at Rayburn unless staff, is there anything else that we need to deal with?
No, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay. You connect.
You gave me? Okay.
All right, the time is now 12:03, and the Committee on Parole is reconvening at Arlene's Parish Prison. We, on the panel today, to my left is Mr. Tillis, to my right is Mr. Barra. My name is Jerry Ledoux, and I got interrupted our last time. Going to allow you, sir, to introduce yourself and give us your DOC number.
My name is Gould. DOC number 526912.
Great, thank you so much, Clarence. What, do you have a piece of paper in front of you that shows that it has your signature and you are not eligible for appointed counsel, and that's your signature at the bottom?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, great, thank you. And you do not have an attorney
Oh,
to do?
that's not it. Put it up on the screen.
Let me let you look at this one. Make sure it'll be up on the screen in just a moment.
Okay.
Can you see that, your signature on that piece of paper?
Yes, ma'am, I see it.
Okay, so that is to indicate that you do not have, you're not being treated for mental illness. For the past 5 years, you can read and write, you understand the charges against you. Did you have an attorney for today? A
No,
retained?
ma'am.
Okay, so you're speaking for yourself. I'm going to be reading some parole condition violations, and I need you to enter a plea of guilty, not guilty or guilty with a statement, but you're not going to be able to make that statement until we ask you for that, okay?
Okay.
Okay, condition number 2. You absconded supervision and parole board warrant was issued on 8/15/2023. How do you plead?
Not guilty.
Number 3. Several attempts were made to reach you at your address of record at 4002 South Carrollton Avenue, 319, apartment 319. You failed to return any phone calls and was never home when attempted to make contact with you. How do you plead?
Not guilty.
Number 4, on 5/12/2023, you were arrested by the Harris County Constable's Office and booked with terroristic threats of family household, assault causing bodily injury, and assault causing bodily injury family member on 6/15/2023. You were sentenced for assault carrying bodily injury and was placed on community supervision.
Guilty. You said I can plead guilty with a statement?
Yes.
Yes, that me and my girlfriend had a
You want to do it guilty with statement?
yes, ma'am.
Okay, we'll get back to the statement.
Okay.
Also, number 4, you were arrested by the Pearland, Texas Police Department and booked with theft of property from $30,000 to $150,000. How do you plead?
Not guilty with a statement.
Okay, number 6, you failed to provide any proof of employment.
Not guilty with a statement.
Number 7, you absconded supervision when you could not be contacted to answer any questions.
Not guilty with a statement.
Number 8, due to absconding supervision, you could not be contacted for any evaluations.
Not guilty with a statement.
Number 9, due to absconding supervision, you could not be contacted for visits at your residence or any other location.
Not guilty with a statement.
And number 10, you failed to make a single payment in the currently $1,323 in arrears on your supervision fees.
Not guilty with a statement.
Okay, your case has been assigned to Mr. Tillis, and he's going to ask you some questions.
Good morning, Mr. Clarence. How are you doing?
Good morning. I'm doing fine.
Good, good. Let's go through these not guilty with the statements, and maybe that'll clarify things for us.
Okay.
The first rule violation was, well, let me ask you this first. When you were released, did they give you any information on how to contact your parole officer?
Yes, yes, they did. When I was released from Plaquemine in 2021, I was referred to Texas. I had the interstate compact in place. So I was on parole in Texas.
In Texas?
Yes, sir, in Houston.
And you knew that you had to report to these people?
I did report to them.
You did?
Yes, sir.
You have any proof of that or anything?
I don't have it on me, but I mean, when I was released from when I was released in 2021, you know, IDA had just happened. So I had the interstate compact in place, and they told me to report to an office in Houston, in which I did, and I had everything set up. She came out, she did the home visit, and my parole was in Texas. It was in Houston, Texas.
Okay. The third one, several attempts were made to reach you. What happened there? You said not guilty.
Yes, you see, all right, my parole, first of all, it was in Houston, right? So, me and the lady, she was telling me that she was supervising me for Louisiana. So I was trying to go to school and get my CDL, and I was trying to get a pass. You know what I'm saying? I was trying to get a pass to get my CDL, and she wouldn't give me a pass. She told me she had to put my parole back in New Orleans, back from Louisiana, in order for me to do that. So I okayed it. So I told her, you know, to put it back so I can go back to New Orleans to get my CDL. And once that happened, the address that I had, it was supposed to be, it was a temporary address, right? So, and in a time when I was supposed to meet with my new parole officer, me and him, we just kept missing each other. And along those lines, me and him kept missing each other, and I never saw him. And because I was also working, I was driving a box truck, and me and him, like I said, me and him kept missing each other. And I also had like old beef down there and all that. And I talked to him, and I told him that I couldn't stay down there. You know what I'm saying? Because of previous altercations that I've had, like just with my past and run-ins with the law. I told him that I couldn't stay there, that I was just there temporary. And he told me, okay, told me we had to see each other. And like I said, we just kept missing each other. So he also told me that I would have to do like 90 days. As some time went along and I didn't see him. And the address that I gave him, like I said, it was temporary. So I really no longer had the address anymore. And my whole immediate family is in Texas. Because like I told you before, that's where my parole was actually at when I was released from jail. It was in Texas. So it was like a misunderstanding on that part. And yeah, man, that's what it was with that.
Okay, what about the arrest on 5/12/23? What happened there?
With the assault?
Yes.
Me and my girlfriend, we had a altercation, and the police was called out, and we was at a hotel. Like I said, it was nothing physical or whatever. We just had like a little altercation, and the police was called out, and they wound up charging me, and I really just, cause I knew I was on parole, and I just went on ahead and just took the little conviction. She didn't press charges or anything. And I knew I was on parole, and I didn't want it, you know, to catch up with my parole level. So I just kind of took the offer that they gave me and just ran with it.
It says there was assault causing bodily injury. She wasn't hurt?
No, sir.
Okay. You were arrested on 6/16/23 in Parole in Texas. What about that? What happened there?
Okay, I told you, me and my girlfriend, we have a trucking company, and I was one of my old friends. He was released from jail prior to that, right, like probably like 2-3 weeks before that, right? So I was showing him the ropes of how the trucking company goes, and man, he jumped out of my truck. The truck was in my name. He jumped out of my truck. He saw Amazon van, and he jumped inside the Amazon van and pulled off. So I'm still going to court for that right now, but it was all the charges going to be dropped down. They told me to a misdemeanor because, like I said, that case is not even about me. It was about him. And because, like I said, they don't have anything on me or anything because there's something that I didn't do, something that he did. So like I said, so those charges are going to be dropped down, or they maybe get dropped.
It was a theft of a Amazon truck.
Yeah.
Between $30,000 and $150,000, and you didn't have anything to do with that?
No, sir. Yeah, they just got me because the truck that he jumped out of was in my name.
What about you failed to provide proof of employment?
I failed to provide because, sir, like I told you before, I was on parole for like a year and a half in Texas. So, like I said, and the new parole officer that was in Orleans, me and him never got a chance to meet. So nothing was never set up. But I was paying my parole officer for a year and a half, the one when I was in Texas. I was paying her every month. and taking my urine test. I never had a dirty urine for a year and a half, and I was paid in full on that when my parole was in Texas. It was just when my parole was transferred back to New Orleans, me and the parole officer, we never met. So I never got a chance to see him or pay him or set up anything with him.
Okay, I kind of understand all the other room violence I'm seeing, but why didn't you, if you knew you had a parole officer in New Orleans, why didn't you get in touch with them and try to get things started off where you wouldn't have these problems now? I mean, they have a job to do, you have a job, you have a responsibility to do.
Yes, sir. And I understand that. Like I said, so in the midst of, and well, in the time frame where me and him was missing each other, I wanted to, man, my little cousin, he got killed on a motorbike accident. My grandmother came down with cancer, and I really had a lot going on at that time. And I spoke with my parole officer and I told him all of that. And that's when he told me that, well, he told me that, Mr. Gould, I have a supervisor as well, and we haven't saw you, and he was letting me know that I would have to do 90 days or whatever for me not reporting to him. And I told him, if that's what I have to do, then it's cool. Then, I just come through the 90 days because I guess me and him just started off on the wrong foot, man.
That's the parole officer in Louisiana?
Yes, sir.
And you failed to make payments in Louisiana of $1,323. You knew about that?
No, sir, I didn't.
Okay.
But I also told him, excuse me, I also told him right before I came to jail this time, I was on the phone with him and I told him that I could make that payment, and he told me, don't worry about it. He told me I was already facing a violation. He told me that it wouldn't do me any good. He told me don't worry about it. When I told him I could make the whole payment in full.
Okay, I have no more questions.
You have two individuals who would like to speak on your behalf. You have Yolanda Gould Glaspie, who is your mother, and ma'am, if you would like to address the panel at this time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Good morning. My name is Yolanda Gould Glaspie, as you stated. I am Clarence Gould's mom, and I'm here to actually speak on my son's behalf. While you all may see and determine who he is on paper, I've had the opportunity and responsibility to know him from birth. I'm not here to flatter you all with lies or embellish anything. My son did break the law by not going through with the rules or whatever the probation was. And that is the reason that we're here today. Clarence is a very smart, lovable, and funny person. He is the jokester in our family. Clarence is loved. He was raised by me as a single mother until age 12, when I became married to my now husband of 20 years. Clarence was a little shy when he was growing up, but he used his joking and making people laugh to combat his shyness, and it worked. He was not a scholar or anything in school, but he maintained B's and C's as he went throughout school. He was a great football player, and he always strived to be his best at everything that he set out to do. He was a junior deacon in our church. He sung in a choir. Clarence was really raised in a home that honored God, and he was taught to do what is right because it's the right thing to do all the time. So I'm not here because he is a saint, nor has he always made the right decisions. If that were the case, we wouldn't be here today. My son was picked up in Mississippi while attending truck driving school. My son was making a great effort to turn his life around, to be a productive citizen. I'm not gonna cry. My son is guilty, as he was found in Mississippi at school, but also of being a loyal friend to others that did not have his best interest at heart. I am not at all excusing his past behavior. I'm just trying to bring to the forefront that he has a past, but that does not draw the entire picture of who my son is. My son had finally come to an understanding that life was precious and time wasted, that he can't get that back. He was trying to turn things around by enrolling in school and working on his business with his fiancée, researching how to acquire his LLC for his own business. He had stopped dealing with old acquaintances from the streets and began affiliating himself with business owners and networking with other truck drivers concerning the business aspect of truck driving. For the first time in years, I saw my son, the one that I raised. I'm sorry, y'all. The one that I raised, I saw again the passion that I saw in his eyes when he was younger, when he played football, and in anything that he set out to do. I saw determination. I saw him being the young man that I tried my best to raise him to be. And I am proud of him for the accomplishments that he has made. I pray that God will grant favor and mercy on his behalf, that he will be able to continue on the journey that he started in becoming a productive citizen. He came from a family that supports him, that loves him, and that prays for him daily. And I believe him when he told me in conversations that he had learned his lesson and that if he could do all of this over again, he would do it differently. Now, I understand that, at the end of all of this, you all have a decision that you're going to make and that you have to collaborate and put all of the pieces together. But I pray that you do so with grace, that you do it with mercy, do it as a mother or a father would do or would want done for their child, with the God conscious of forgiveness and restoration.
Okay, ma'am, we will do that. I promise you. We want to hear from his mentor, Mr. Alan Carr. So we're going to go ahead.
I'm done. That was the end. That
Okay.
was it.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your comment. I heard your mother's heart. Mr. Carr? I think you're on mute, Mr. Carr.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
You can hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Well, with what his mother has stated, I approve of everything that she said. And I can only say good things about Clarence. He was one of our top performers in the class, and he was well-mannered. And I don't know him well. I met him when he got here, and I have nothing negative to say. And he was gonna be a productive student and a productive truck driver. We had already put him with a job. I think it was Swift Transportation, and he could easily make up to $100,000 a year. He only needed a couple more days in our class, and he would have graduated because he is very familiar with the trucking industry. And as far as operating the vehicle, I give him an A+. Like I said, he was top of the class.
Right.
So
Well,
if you all could give, ma'am.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Clarence, for the record, while you were in court in Texas, my record shows that you failed to pay supervision fees. You absconded, like your mom said, to Mississippi, and that you also had multiple positive drug screens. And that was while you were under supervision in Texas. I can understand the confusion over the supervision in two different states. I understand that. I believe that the panel is prepared to vote. Mr. Tiller?
Dan, you have any questions?
No question.
Yes. My vote today is to revoke. I'm glad your mother understands that there are rules and regulations that we have to abide by. And you also have to abide by those, and you could probably solve a lot of problems if you do. And I'm sure in Texas and Louisiana, it's kind of a stretch for you, but my vote today is to revoke.
Mr. Barra?
I vote to revoke for the same reasons.
Mr. Gould, my vote is to revoke. As a fifth felony offender, you need to know the rules and abide by them. Okay? So today, your parole has been revoked. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Signing off at 12:26. We're completing our day's hearings. Thank you.